Hey, welcome back to another video. Unless it's your first time here, in which case I invite you to subscribe. We had a really good response on the first video where we took on the restoration of these knives, which were almost destroyed. We've brought them back from that position, and today we're going to be working on sharpening. I hope a lot of you come back for this because this is a really exciting part as well. A few of you, I posted a question in the first video, and I'll link that up here by the way, but I put the question out. Let me know what's wrong with the sharpening on this knife. What problem do we have to correct right off the bat before we even get to just sharpening the edge? And several of you commented and you got it right. We have an issue with this edge alignment here. We'll show you the problem right now, and it's something I've seen a lot with kitchen knives that come into me. So you run over to the cutting board. This is a makeshift cutting board here with some random sketches on it. And you grab your nice knife and you go to cut some veggies, okay? Here you are, cutting up your veggies. Now the big problem is, watch this. Do you see that there? Can you see that light through? It touches here, so no light is getting through. Right here you see the flashlight is still lit. But as we progress this direction, look at that. The edge actually lifts off of the cutting board. Touch back down. This is really common. This is something that you do not want. Now if you're at home and all you have is whetstones, you can fix this issue no problem. You just have to do something which seems counterintuitive at the beginning, and you have to file that. Our stone is not wet here now, so I'm not going to scuff it up for you. You can also use the edge of your stone if you want, since you're only focusing on that one point there. You can use that. We need to take this profile down and joint this edge so we don't have any recurves or concaves in the edge. This should be one long sweeping convex, at most moving to a straight edge here. We should never have any recurves or concaves. Now being a professional knife maker, I have access to some specialized tools, some fancy tools like this beautiful 72-inch belt grinder. So I'm just going to use this flat surface, this platen here. And I'm just going to remove that very quickly so we can get on to the sharpening process. This is very simple. I'll just file that down until that recurve disappears. So right here now you can clearly see that little ramp. This is an easy one to tackle on the whetstones, but and just that quickly, we've taken this down flat. You can clearly see there's no ramp. But the problem you run into now is you've carved into the thickness of the blade. So we'll need to reestablish a new edge all the way back there. So a little bit of work now, a little bit more work comes in on your stones. And right now we're going to start with a 240 grit ceramic stone. This is a Sigma Power Select 2, I believe. This is a very, very aggressive stone. We're going to use this one just because we have that old fatigued edge on the knife. We want to carve away all that old steel, the old fragmented and fractured and distressed steel, and start with some brand new stuff. This is a very thirsty stone. Now I wouldn't normally tape off a knife handle, but since we just made these, and this is going to be a pretty aggressive sharpening session, I went ahead and taped it up just to protect it. I don't want to be scratching up that buffed finish too much if I get any grit or get some dirty hands here. One last little bit of water. We'll need lots more of that throughout the sharpening process. What you want to do now is find your angle. Now you can get little clip-on edge guides and different things like that. You can measure and get an idea. If you're dealing with a factory edge knife, something brand new, you can work to find that. But in this case, this is a knife that doesn't really have any factory edge anymore. So we're going to reestablish an edge so we get to pick our angle. Now you can watch videos, you can look at pictures to get an idea what that looks like. Usually it looks like something around 20 degrees, maybe a little bit less. for a bigger knife like this, it's still got a little bit of heft to it. So we're going to pick our angle here. We're just going to work on maintaining that angle. I like to have two hands on the knife, one on the tip, one on the rear like this, to keep nice even pressure all the way. With one hand, you're doing a lot of flexing in the knife and you don't get as much control, I find. So once we find that angle that we like, we're just going to start working. And some people will say only do cutting strokes. Some people will say only do stropping style strokes. Back and forth is fine. You don't need to keep resetting your angle. Just help yourself out by just locking your arms and your wrists into position. Notice nothing is bending here. My fingers aren't moving around, my hands aren't moving around, my wrists aren't bending. Everything is really nice and stiff as we work on this stone. You can clearly hear the coarseness of this stone, very aggressive. We won't need much time here. Now you can either work away from yourself here now, or you can flip and use your other set of hands. I have practiced both. I can do either. Right now I'm going to choose to work away from myself. Now I've brought you over by the window here, so hopefully you can see a little better. You can see those threads there now. That is because we have such a strong apex that we have a burr. Now you're not seeing the actual burr there. When I wiped it with a towel, there's enough burr. I can feel it with my finger. You can be trained to feel that just from experience. But a very clear sign when we wiped it with a microfiber towel, it grabbed up all those fibers. So we clearly know we have a burr, and look how that edge now runs straight off the back. It doesn't stop in here. That should never happen. It can happen at brand new, but doesn't work out in the long run, as we saw. Look at that. And look at that side. Very coarse scratches, the edge running right off the back of the knife, nice and straight. Apologies for my real dirty sink hidden down there in the bottom, but this is not somewhere we wash dishes. This is in my workshop where a lot of messy work happens, so don't worry too much about it. This is a 320 grit ceramic now, a small step, but when you're down this real coarse stuff, real coarse grits like this, you don't want to step up too high. This is a Nanowatt 600 grit Nagura. This is a dressing stone. It works really nice. I answered an email about this just this week. Someone who was having trouble. They went and bought real nice fancy stones, really nice stones. And after only a short amount of time using them, they said they didn't perform anymore. Their stone had filled up with what they called metallic particle, and I thought that was a really nice way of describing it. Their stone had filled up with metal filings. Little microscopic metal filings have gotten into all the pores, and their stone is all gummed up, and your knife starts skating on the stone. And this is what helps just scrub off all that stuff, scrub off that top surface, and leave us with a real nice fresh cutting stone here. Look at that. Okay, here we go. This is a beautiful stone. If you are looking for a starter set, that Sigma we used in the beginning there is a bit too aggressive. This stone, although it cuts quite well, performance is really good. It is just such a user-friendly stone, just such a great experience. I really love it. That's the Kuramaku Blue Black with a 320 grit. Kuramaku is a series, I believe, under Sharpening. We're holding that grip again, just very fixed position, making sure to work the entirety of the blade fairly evenly. Don't get too caught up in all the nonsense about counting your number of strokes and, oh, what if you throw the edge out of evenness and all that. That's all garbage, all nonsense. Just any type of stone, no matter if you've got the real best stones or the nicest, fanciest stuff, you're not going to file away steel that quickly that you really throw an edge off like that. If you do go slightly out of evenness, it's going to be on a very small level that honestly just doesn't matter. You will never notice it in use. It's like the guys that get all bent out of shape about an axe eye being forged slightly out of square, and that's even much more pronounced because of course you're holding an axe that's 2 feet long, so the angle exaggerates the further you go with the handle. But even that doesn't affect anything. You don't have to change your swing. You don't have to swing in a special way to hit the tree where you want. It's just not that potent of an effect. Now I'm going this long without checking my edge because I know roughly how long I need to spin on this stone just from experience and the knife edge that we're working with. So that's why I'm not constantly checking. But what we're basically looking for is to remove all the scratches from the previous grit. That is our goal. Let's wet down the stone. Let's wet down the edge and clean it up and have a look. Okay, I've got a very nice looking edge there now. It's nice clean, even striations, nice even scratches. How I'm going to finish on this stone is just with some cutting strokes. I always like to finish with some light cutting strokes only. Just helps me manage that burr a little bit better and prepare for the next grit. So I might do, I don't know, 5 or 6 strikes on the side. Again, not really counting, but I'll call it off right there. Up to a Sharpening glass stone 1000. This is stone number 2 I recommend you get. So all of these I'm going to use here today are absolutely fabulous. But if you're looking to get started in whetstone sharpening, right from the beginning I recommend the Sharpening blue black, the 320, and this Sharpening glass stone 1000. And this Nagura here. Watch how it'll clean up this white ceramic stone. And I find these glass stones do, as the gentleman I spoke with said, fill with metallic substance or particle fairly quickly, because they're a fine composite and a fast cutter. So they cut a lot of particle quickly and they gum up fast. Look at that nice clean stone now. But in the Nagura, the Sharpening 1000, and that Kuramaku blue black is almost all most people would ever need. Look at that. And that is that particle that builds in so quickly. You see, you can still wipe it off there pretty good, but look at that. This stone is just mesmerizing. The performance is so good. Again, nice and rigid, holding that angle. Now we'll do one last cleanup before we finish with the 1000. Just checked my edge and we have a nice clean 1000 scratch pattern. So I'll clean this stone up real good. Then again, we'll finish with just some of those single cutting strokes. So nice heel to toe, just like that. Again, might be a half dozen on each side. I don't know, I don't count. Not necessary. Oh, that just feels so good. Nice light pressure. $2,000 grit, nanowatt Aotoshi. Look at the size of this monster. Nice cleanup. Although this one doesn't tend to gum up easily. Gets a little cruddy after a while, but the Nagura also does a nice job on this one building up a good slurry. Look at that. And repeat. So I think I'm going to stop with that 2,000 for this knife. It's a lovely edge, so I'm just going to clean up this stone. Give it a couple more single stroke passes just to crisp it up a little bit extra. And we'll do a couple stropping passes. This knife will be done. Very light pressure here now with these last strokes. Now I have a wood paddle strap here with a finished sided leather with some polishing compound, just some rouge. It's a very basic compound. And I'm just going to do stropping strokes like this. So I'll keep the same angle we use on the stones. But this time, with the strap, we only use strokes pushing away from the edge. Ooh, that edge is feeling nice there now. One quick little test there for you before we go. Beautiful. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you coming back. If you haven't seen part 1, I think it's really worth a watch. Go ahead and follow the link through to check that out right now. These knives are coming along great. I'll go ahead and sharpen the second largest one, the carving knife, exactly the same way as this one. We'll make sure there's no recurve. We'll remove that fatigue steel. We'll carve it down with a Sigma Select first, and we'll work all the way up to 2,000, strap, and it'll be done. For the smallest knife, the little paring knife, I think we're going to break out the Edge Pro for that one. We'll wait till the next video, so make sure you come back again, which means subscribe. Go ahead and subscribe so you can find out how they turn out. So thanks so much for watching. Again, leave me a comment down below, subscribe to my channel. If there's some way you can share this, that's the biggest way you can help my channel grow, help my videos grow, is share it to your own pages, your Instagram, your Facebook, text the link to your friends, all that kind of stuff helps it just snowball into a more successful production. So thanks so much. I hope to see you in the next video.